Today's an ideal day for recording late azaleas and peonies because it's overcast and the lighting is really good. These roses have decided to grow up into the cherry tree. They're not fragrant, but they certainly are beautiful. And it's a rose bush that was here when we bought the house. It's doing quite well. The arbor that Steve built. And this rose, let's go over here on our way to the peonies. This rose is called Zephrine Drouin, and she is incredibly fragrant. She's usually still in bloom for Steve's birthday on the 24th, and we put rose petals all over the cake for his birthday. The peonies and the petunias, and soon will come the iris. Alright, so we really have to backtrack and show you this one. This is what the perfect peony looks like. Feast your eyes on that. Peak of bloom. Oh, look at the ants. So these ants very wisely made their nest at the base of this plant, and they help the blossoms to open. And they're very protective, and they will bite you. He's got something. Very beautiful. Enduring. And our friend Bonnie tells us we can make tea with the peony blossoms. Now another plant I'd like to point out is the valerian. It's over this way. Here are the lupins. Now these blue forget-me-nots are all finishing up, so I'm cleaning them up out of the pathways. You just put them in a pile, and then all those seeds will be scattered everywhere around the yard. They can take some shade, so we put them under the tree line. And next year, there will be millions and millions of forget-me-nots. This last year's leek that overwintered a little bit. And sometimes we'll take the leek that we've used in the kitchen and just plant the roots. That works out very well. Same with the onions. Here's a lily on its way. And here's the valerian. This variety is sort of a pinkish in color. Fragrance is exquisite, like perfume. But if you dig up the root for tincturing, the smell of the root is pretty much like dirty socks. It's very funny. But I tell you that the blossoms are exquisitely fragrant. And over here is a white variety. What a great plant. And it throws its seeds everywhere. They're light. Maybe the air catches them and they float in the air. I'm not sure how they make their way around the garden like this. Here's another beauty. Do you ever get tired of looking at peony blossoms? I don't think so. At least I don't. Here's a little shade garden with a healing Buddha that our teacher Jean gave us many, many years ago. Painted fern. And these are the perennial begonias. They're winter hardy. They come back year after year. they'll get tall with beautiful pink blossoms and then drop seeds everywhere. And you just come up wherever you like. And this is just a basin that we decided we would use to catch the rainwater as it comes down the downspout. It's a nice spot. And finishing up Lenten rose or Christmas rose. Pretty much Lenten. This is a late bloomer. Usually in March, and it's finishing up. Nice healthy new growth on that. Here's a favorite. This is called Isotoma fluviatilis, blue star flower, and it creeps along the ground and flowers right through the grass. I'm going to move it everywhere. I'll dig up plugs and put it everywhere. And I've done a similar thing here. These are English daisies. Very low growing. Grows in the lawn, along with the dandelions. And I'll take these little seed heads. Let's see if we can get one here. And those little seeds, and I'll spread them throughout the lawn. I did these last fall when they came up beautifully. Here's some little blue forget-me-nots in the lawn. Yeah. Okay, let's go visit this side of the rose arbor. These are lingam stone circle. They were gifted to us about close to 20 years ago now. And an umeboshi plum tree, which suffered from a terrible fungus last year, and we cut it way back, but it looks healthy again, so we'll keep an eye on it. And this is a happy arrangement with the blue nepeta, cat mint, not catnip, but same family. Cats do seem to like it. And rue, yellow rue, and the clematis finishing up. They were mostly pink, and then these two red ones showed up. I thought that was pretty nice. Here's a rose called Eden, E-D-E-N, just about ready to flower. And this is called Orlea. It's a wonderful cut flower. It looks very much like Queen Anne's lace, which doesn't last very well in flower arrangements, but by golly, this one does. And it likes to drop seeds and come up every year from seed. Very generous. Very prolific. Some more of these lovelies. This variety is called Sarah Bernhardt. You can see why. Look at this one. Look at that. With the little ant friends. I don't know what they do. If they get nectar, little ants from the buds, or what their relationship is, but they just love working the peonies. This is a love affair. So here are some white varieties that our friend Amy gave us many years ago. And guess who's just about ready to flower here? Milkweed. The milkweed is the larval food for monarch butterflies. So we just let this come up every year, and it sends runners underground, and you can see what it does. It comes up wherever it pleases. Oh, that's okay. It's okay. They're beneficial. Some more nice red roses. And some more valerian. We'll make a wonderful tincture with all this valerian this year. Oh, and here we go. Well, this is a great rose bush, a very pretty pink one when it's open, but below it, this is all St. John's wort. And it's just about ready to start forming its buds. Not quite yet, but This is so wonderful to make a tincture with. We just keep a jar filled with brandy, and then every day when the flowers are open, we come and we just drop them into the jar of brandy, and that's our tincture. Let it sit for about a month, shake it every day, and then decant it. And it's wonderful. You may know this plant is called lunaria, or money plant. It gets a very pretty purple flower in the spring, and then it forms these seed heads that turn papery white. They're really beautiful. Used a lot in dried arrangements. Here's another bit of that rose that we saw earlier. This was a companion to it. And another one that was here when we bought the house. And this is also a favorite. It's very fragrant. And they're all doing better since I learned to give them the proper treatment with their fertilizer. We'll finish up with the planting beds. And we just turned these over yesterday, and we had all of this straw dry material you see was leftover Austrian winter peas that we had in the beds all through the winter that give you wonderful greens for salads, or you could saute them. And then we cut them down in the spring, let them dry out, and then turn them into the soil, and it improves the nitrogen because they're nitrogen fixers. So that adds nitrogen to the soil. And we've got our tomato cages all set up. Ground's been turned over. We've added lime. And we'll put nutrient in each planting hole, but this is where the tomatoes will live. And with that low cage, maybe some eggplant or peppers. Small valerian puts itself wherever it wants to be. And lilies. We like to mix the flowers with the vegetables. The flowers attract beneficial insects. We've discovered that gladiolas love to multiply. That started out with just a handful of corms, and now we get embuscades of flowers. This is our French sorrel going to seed. Very nice with fish. It's sort of a tangy, lemony flavor. And what you see here is our kitchen onions and garlic and leek, and we plant the root. When we're cooking, we save the root part of the plant and just put it in the garden. And look over here, we've got quite a few. We just pop them in wherever there's an available space. They're going to flower and seed. And these are all from the kitchen. This is larkspur here. Also drops seeds and comes back in abundance. Here's our potatoes, mixed in with rutabaga in the planting bags. Now I need to add some soil up around the stems of these potatoes so they'll form roots. This is the bed I'll be turning in today, and I plan to put hot peppers in here. Here's all the onion bed, onion, leek, garlic. Most of it from the kitchen. Not all of it, but most of it. And lilies. And some petunias. These came up in the soil that I had in the greenhouse. And I'm convinced that they're petunias. So we'll see. Oh, there's a couple of them. Some peppers. On the back side is broccoli. And we're just protecting the smaller plants until they get established. But what I'd like to point out here, these strange looking plants were overwintered pepper plants. I dug them up in the fall, put them in a pot, kept them in the house under grow lights, and then planted them out last week. Trimmed them back, trimmed the roots, trimmed the tops. They look fine to me. And this will be a beautiful dahlia. I hear raindrops, so we'll wrap this up soon. But we should visit the sweet little shrine. This statue was here when we bought the house, just buried in the woods under shrubs and weeds. And we made a sweet little offering. There's some beautiful petunias and marigolds. It's a cheerful spot. She's our guardian. And the potting table, always busy. This is where all the magic happens, here and in the greenhouse. And we've decided to put the marigolds in pots because we have a problem with voles eating the roots, so that's good. This little lovely is called Dame's Rocket. Looks very much like phlox, but it's not. It's Hesperus matronalis. Everything's coming along very nicely. And this is the busy place. All the starts, cuttings, rootings, tulips waiting to be separated and put in the soil with some, yes, those are tulips, with some bone meal for next year. Some pennyroyal, which smells wonderful. Yeah. And our lovely Apsara, keeping guard over everything. New beds. Who knows what'll end up in them. But this is interesting. So these are some onions going to flower and then seed. I planted these here at least 5 years ago. And they overwinter. We use the greens all winter long in salads or stir fry. And they just persist. These were from the kitchen originally. And they seem to really love this spot. And I think they just love to be useful. They've stayed. So don't throw your onion roots away. Especially these days. Here's all the arugula going to seed in the greenhouse. I love this. Everything's going to seed now. Going to flower, and then it will seed. It's all free food and free seeds. We have not bought seeds for this underplanting since we built the greenhouse 10 years ago. We just let them cycle through. They give us greens all winter. Look at the seed capsules on the arugula. Look at that. There's the blossom, which is edible. We can put those in salad. And then all those seed capsules will fall after I let this dry up by July or August. It'll be dry as a bone. I'll clean it out and all the seeds will fall back into the bed. I'll water it and they'll come back. This is Melissa lemon balm. The bees love it. It's very calming to bees. So if you're a beekeeper, you can put this inside your hive, rub the leaves inside the hive. It's very calming to the bees, but it makes a wonderful tea. So we like to dry the leaves and save them. Yeah. Here's kale going to seed. Let's see if we can. Oh, look at the little blossom here. See how pretty? Look at that. How sweet is that? It's kale. There's more kale. All good, all good. More seed capsules of the arugula. Tomatoes, overwintered geraniums. Look how beautiful this is. Any guesses? It's Italian flat-leaf parsley going to flower and seed. And we enjoyed that all winter. We made lots of wonderful tabbouleh with the leaves. Now it's finishing up. It's going to flower and give us seeds. This is some more kale. Wonderful varieties of tomatoes. We've got something called Defiant and another one called, where's the tag? It's called Plum Regal, and these are all resistant to the blight that we get here in the mountains. Big problem with the blight. And this one is called Rugged Boy. So I bought 3 varieties of blight-resistant tomatoes. And those nasturtiums came up from last year too. Yeah, that's it. What a wonderful thing. We love the cycles. And I bet you're wondering who this little lovely pink thing is here. This is called oxalis. And it grows from a corm. And it just loves to put itself everywhere. So I've had these for 30 years. Brought them with me from New York. Got a nice little 3-leaf clover shaped leaf on it. And these very cheerful little flowers. What a sweet little thing. So I put them in the greenhouse as a border underneath the parsley. Yeah. And so it goes. Okay. Hope you enjoyed this. End up by saying goodbye with the asparagus fern. Look at that. We got as much as we could out of it, and now we let it go to leaf and flower and make some strength for next year.